Imagine for a moment that the greatest version of you isn't found by becoming more, but by becoming less. It's not less worthy, not less powerful, but less someone. Dr. Joe Dispenza says, when you become no one, no thing, nowhere. In no time, that's when you become pure consciousness. And that is where the miracles begin. We spend our lives building identities. I'm this kind of person. I have this story. I live in this place. But every label you wear locks you into a frequency, and that frequency keeps broadcasting the same past. Your personality creates your personal reality. So if you want to change the reality, you can't do it as the same person who created it. You have to leave the known self behind. Joe calls this process entering the quantum field. But what he's really describing is forgetting yourself enough to remember the infinite. Think of the mind as a radio constantly tuned to the familiar. Your body knows your habits, your brain knows your thoughts, your emotions rehearse your past. But the field, the quantum, the unified consciousness has no reference for your story, only responds to frequency. And frequency isn't made of memory, it's made of energy. So to reach it, you must become energy. In his retreats, Joe guides students to disconnect from everything physical, the room, the body, the people, even the sense of time. At first it feels impossible. The analytical mind fights back, shouting, "What are we doing? This is weird." But slowly the waves of thought settle. Brain activity shifts from beta, the busy survival state, into alpha, then theta. The self begins to dissolve, and what's left is awareness wide, quiet, awake. Science calls this transcendence of self-referential networks. When measured on IG scans, the part of the brain that defines me, the prefrontal cortex, goes offline. The subject reports feeling limitless, and when they return, their bodies often show measurable healing. How? Because the field responds to coherence, not personality. When the noise of the self disappears, the signal of the soul gets through. Joe writes in Becoming Supernatural, you can't create a new reality as the same personality. To truly change, you have to become no one. That moment of no one isn't empty, it's full of potential. It's the womb of creation. Every possible reality exists there, waiting for consciousness to choose it. Think of the double-slit experiment in quantum physics. Particles behave like waves, infinite probabilities, until they're observed. The moment awareness enters, one reality collapses into existence. Now imagine your consciousness doing the same thing, but with your life. When you observe from the limited self, you collapse limited outcomes. When you observe from no one pure awareness, you open infinite doors. Joe says that's why we meditate, not to relax, not to escape, but to get beyond the self, so we can become the field itself. He often uses the image of water. When the mind is turbulent, the reflection is distorted. When the water is still, it becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, the divine sees itself through you. In that stillness, miracles aren't violations of nature. They are expressions of higher order. When energy organizes matter, what looks impossible becomes normal. People at Joe's retreats have documented tumors shrinking, hearing restored, paralysis reversed. Skeptics say it's placebo. Joe says, of course it's placebo. The greatest pharmacy is inside you, but the true power isn't in the pill. It's in the belief that arises when the self steps aside and lets consciousness flow unfiltered. You don't need to understand the mechanism. Electricians don't worship the socket. They connect to the current, and consciousness is that current. In one of his meditations, Joe guides students to imagine the space their body occupies, then the space the room occupies, then the space beyond the room. And slowly, awareness shifts from the body to the boundless. You stop being in space, you become space. That's the gateway, because in the quantum model, space isn't empty. It's filled with intelligent energy, the same field that organizes galaxies and cells alike. When you become that field, you gain access to its organizing intelligence. This is what mystics called the void. It's not darkness, it's potential waiting for intention. And in that space, feeling is creation. You don't visualize from separation, you feel from unity. When gratitude and love fill the heart, the field recognizes itself and begins to reflect that pattern into form. Joe says, When your inner world becomes more real than your outer world, that's when the miracle begins. Becoming no one isn't disappearance, it's transformation. It's like a caterpillar dissolving in the chrysalis. It's not dying, it's recoding. Your energy reorganizes into a higher pattern. You lose the self that was addicted to the past and awaken the self that creates the future. And that's why the ego fears stillness. It knows that silence is the end of its reign. It will whisper, "This is pointless. Nothing's happening." But if you can stay, just stay long enough to feel the nothingness, you'll realize the nothingness is everything. Because pure consciousness doesn't need to do, it simply is. And when you are consciousness, creation happens through you, not by you. Think about this. You've already experienced it in flashes.
That moment.
Under a sunset, when time disappears. That breath in meditation, where you forget your body. That second between thoughts, when peace swallows you whole. That's the doorway. It's the no-one state. The more often you enter it, the more it rewires your brain for coherence. Neurons begin to fire in harmony rather than conflict. Your heart rhythm stabilizes, your immune system strengthens, and the field around you grows measurable order. Joe says, the brain is the electrical charge, the heart is the magnetic charge. Together they create an electromagnetic field. Change the field, and you change your life. Becoming no one changes the field because it removes distortion. The noise of identity, fear, control, self-image, all fall silent. And in that silence, energy flows unobstructed. And you don't chase outcomes. They begin chasing you. Synchronicities appear. Ideas arrive out of nowhere. People show up with answers you didn't even know you needed. That's the field rearranging itself around a coherent signal. This is the paradox Joe always points to. When you stop being the one trying to create, creation happens effortlessly. When you stop needing proof, the proof appears. When you stop grasping for healing, healing flows. In the space of no one, there is no resistance. And resistance is the only thing that ever blocked the miracle. So how do you practice this? You don't strive to disappear. You simply become aware of what's not you. Notice the thought. It's not you, that's memory. Notice the emotion. It's not you. That's chemistry. Notice the identity. That's not you. That's a role. And as you observe each layer without attaching, awareness expands. Eventually, only awareness remains. And in that moment, you're not in the meditation. You are the meditation. Joe says, the moment you lose track of yourself, you become pure consciousness. And consciousness is the builder of all reality. So the next time you close your eyes, don't ask for something. Ask for nothing. Because nothing is where everything begins. Sit in that blackness. Let thought fade. Let time dissolve. Let the self fall away. And when the stillness deepens, feel gratitude. Not for what's coming, but for what is. That emotion is the handshake between you and the divine. When you open your eyes again, you won't just see the world. The world will respond to your seeing, because you'll be walking as consciousness itself. And that, as Joe Dispenza teaches, is the secret. You don't need to become more human to reach the divine. You need to become no one, so the divine can remember itself through you. So the next time you ask, when will the miracle happen? Remember, it already has. It's waiting for the moment you disappear. That's the space where miracles begin.